Good morning and welcome to Rise and Unwind, the show where lifestyle meets real life. We've got stories, we've got tips, and we've probably got a hot take or two. I'm Kayla, your host and comedian for the next 30-ish minutes. On today's episode, we've got this.
Paul has a true heartbreak. I mean, he's the one that wanted the Beatles.
Now, if you're thinking I should probably know more about that, same, that's why we're here. All that and more on Rise and Unwind.
Do you ever wonder how much planning and pressure and storytelling goes into what happens inside a WW ring? Season 2 of WWE Unreal pulls back the curtains even more, taking fans behind the scenes on the road to SummerSlam. Joining us today is Lyra Valkyrie, one of the superstars featured this season, giving fans a closer look at what it really takes to bring those moments alive. Welcome to the show, Lyra. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Season 2 is diving deeper into the writer's room and the build towards SummerSlam. When you watched it back, what surprised you most about seeing that process on screen?
I can't watch it back because it was a very kind of hard moment for me that got captured on Unreal. So it's very strange that the whole world is seeing it, but this is what people want to see. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Fans usually see the finished performance. What does WWE Unreal reveal about the preparation and collaboration that people may not realize happens before a match?
I think it definitely reveals the pressure and the chaos that goes on behind the scenes because it's live TV, so everything obviously looks great. And we just pop up and look our best on Raw and SmackDown. But I think it's showing a very kind of gritty, real side of the people on the show and what we go through every single week. So I guess that's really cool that people get to see that and just understand the chaos behind it all.
And this season features so many big personalities and storylines. As a superstar, what's it like balancing your own journey while everything else around you is constantly evolving?
Oh, it's like hard. That's one of the struggles, is like trying to keep your whole life together while performing at your best. So it's definitely hard, and I think Unreal really showcases that what it is we go through. So yeah, it can be tough, but it's also like the most rewarding thing in the world, and it's so addictive, and the adrenaline you can't even describe it. I don't know if any other job or like sport or anything, I don't know if anything is comparable to what we do. So it's cool that like people get to understand that a little bit more watching the show.
And the show, it captures a lot of high pressure moments. How do you personally stay grounded when the stakes are that high pretty much week after week?
I think as like my way of staying grounded is as long as I know that I'm putting the work in behind the scenes and I'm doing everything I possibly can. That's when I know like, okay, I'm going to do my best here. And if I don't, then like what can I do? That's just where I'm at. Like I have to, if I'm doing the work behind the scenes, then I'm going to be proud of what I'm doing.
And for longtime WWE fans and for people who may be new to this world, what do you think they'll appreciate most about season 2 of WWE Unreal?
I think people will appreciate the fact that this is the first time ever that this show is pulling back the curtain so much. It's something that's been protected for years. And there's still people that like, I'm one of them, that I'm not sure how much we like that, but there's a big demand for it. So I think people who have wanted that, like lifelong fans who have wanted to see what it's like behind the scenes, I think that's what, like, this is their chance to actually get to see that.
All right, I want to thank you for joining me today. WWE Unreal Season 2 is streaming now on Netflix, taking fans behind the scenes all the way to SummerSlam. Lyra, thanks for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me.
It's easy to put off doctor visits, especially if you're feeling okay. But for seniors, skipping preventative care can lead to much bigger problems later. Only a small percentage of seniors are going in for just routine checkups. So what should be on the health to-do list this year? Joining us today to tell us is Dr. Ali Khan, a practicing internist and chief medical officer for Medicare at Aetna. Welcome, Dr. Khan.
Thanks for having me.
So how common is it for seniors to delay or skip preventative appointments?
This is far more common than you'd think. Many seniors put off preventive care appointments, including, my own mother, it's her 73rd birthday today, and this is our conversation last night. She feels healthy enough to skip them, right? That's a common cause we hear. Other folks are worried about costs that could be associated with those visits, or worried about transportation, how to get to and from that appointment. But a lot of people, I think, just don't realize how important these visits are. And that's the reality of the issue. Preventive care is the foundation, really the bedrock of staying healthy as we get older. And so when we invest in that kind of preventive care, like a Medicare annual wellness visit and an annual physical, we identify issues in real time that we can address early before they, blossom potentially out of control. That's why Medicare Advantage plans like ours cover this preventive care at no additional cost, because we want people to access it and we want them to do it early in the year. So we have a whole year to build a plan with our doctors and nurses to make sure you're then getting the care that you need and you deserve. And that becomes so critical. It's February already, the weeks are flying by. Getting those appointments scheduled this year early is just a fundamental imperative.
And why is it so important to stay ahead of health issues instead of waiting until something feels a little off or wrong?
It's such a good question. We operate in American medicine in a reactive system, right? When we're sick, that's when we go. But we need to think about this more like maintaining our cars, right? I'm an old click and clack guy. Like we don't wait for the engine to explode before going to go change the oil. We look at the engine light and we're like, oh, okay, it's time for me to do something. This is the same sort of situation, right? How do we take on the regular checkups to make sure everything's running smoothly, that we're getting our tires rebalanced and all those sorts of things? So in this way, that annual wellness visit, that's your place for setting up the time to talk about your overall health goals and setting up a plan for the year of all the things we want to do month by month to focus on prevention. That pairs with your annual physical, where your annual physical is a space where we're doing a robust physical exam and lab tests and vaccines and other screenings to catch the small things, like when we do annual hearing and vision tests to catch whether your hearing has changed slightly and you might need a hearing aid, that if we left it untreated, could ultimately lead to memory impairment or dementia, right? So these are the things of making the investments up front to ensure that you stay long-term, happy, healthy, and out of the hospital. And our experience and national data shows that when we invest in that preventive care and seniors who complete those preventive care appointments every single year, they do exactly that. They're happier, they're healthier, and they're less in the ER and less frequently in the hospital than other folks.
So I know you've outlined 3 must-do health items for 2026. Could you tell us a little bit more about what they are?
So no surprise, probably number 1, schedule and complete those preventive care appointments. That annual wellness visit, that physical exam. Don't wait till you're sick to see your doctor. Go invest in those things now and get them done. Second, as a big part of that, particularly for those of you who are thinking about memory issues or worried about dementia, the biggest thing you can do is get your eyes and your ears checked this year and every year. Because the small adjustment in your prescription for your glasses, your contacts, or the small addition of a hearing aid can do wonders for your social engagement, for your community involvement, for your ability to interact with your family members, and to have the mental stimulation that you need to stay healthy and mentally sharp for decades to come. Number 3, know your plan and access your digital front door, right? You should be able to log into your patient portal, have that app downloaded on your smartphone. We've all got smartphones now, so it shouldn't be too hard. And be able to understand, hey, what's out there for me? What's covered in my plan? What's not? And what special benefits do I have access to? Like do I have access to care management programs that are going to help me get back home safely after I've been in the hospital? Or do I have access to programs that are like a 24/7 nurse line? So when I'm worried about my health, I have somebody to call immediately as opposed to going straight to an urgent care center, right? Those are the kinds of things that people may not always know about, and they don't know how to access them. So setting up that digital interface and then knowing what's available means that you're a much more engaged consumer and advocate for your own health in partnership with the rest of us.
And for someone signing up for Medicare for the first time, what is one piece of advice that you always share?
I think it's really breathe. There's a lot of information out there. It can be really overwhelming. And I think in conjunction with breathing, it's just raising your hand and asking for help. Obviously, those digital front doors, those apps, all the platforms I mentioned can be very helpful. But even simpler than that, on the back of every ID card is a line that says member services. And there's a phone number next to it. You can call that phone number anytime. And we have advocates on the line whose whole job it is to try to make the complex simple for you all. For every member of ours, for anyone who's out there in Medicare who needs help figuring out how to access their benefits, knowing what's due, knowing what they're responsible for doing, knowing what's being recommended to them, it can be a lot to navigate. And just asking for help and raising that hand is the biggest piece of advice I can give.
So where can our viewers go to learn more about their Medicare options?
Lots of great information out there. I'm a bit of a biased person, but I like Medicare.com. It's a great place to understand what's available to you, to understand what your options are, and to get a great health information about what you should be thinking about as we all get older.
Dr. Ali Khan, it has been a pleasure. I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Do you ever dream of uncovering lost treasure?
exploring ancient tunnels, or even chasing down history's greatest mysteries? You know, Josh Gates lives that adventure for real. And he's back with brand new seasons of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Discovery Channel. Fresh off a Daytime Emmy win, Josh's latest expeditions dig deeper than ever, from inside Egypt's Great Pyramid to tracking hidden treasures around the world. Josh, it's great to see you here.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, I guess without giving out too much away or spoiling it for everybody, what is one moment this season that you thought to yourself, I can't believe we're actually pulling this off?
I think it's our season premiere, which is this big 2-hour, 2-part special on the Great Pyramid of Giza. And look, this building, which is 4,500 years old, has always inspired conspiracy theories and mystery. And so we are going to crawl through every inch of the Great Pyramid, sections that are closed to the public. We're going to descend deep beneath the pyramid into the bedrock itself. And to be down there in those tunnels was just such an absolute, electric thrill. And to take our viewers with us, that's the moment where I was like, I can't believe we're doing this.
You blend science, history, and adventure better than anyone, maybe even Han Solo when he's out adventuring a little bit. How do you keep the sense of wonder alive while still chasing the facts?
I mean, that's not hard at all, because these stories have such an incredible natural hook. I mean, look at this season. We're doing looking for lost passages in the Great Pyramid of Giza, searching for a sunken Nazi submarine, having a real life Goonies adventure on the Oregon coast. I mean, these stories are so exciting in and of themselves that it's easy to be enthusiastic about them, to be just pulled along for the ride, because these mysteries are just so enduring.
And it's always a mystery, and it's always surprising. Is there an expedition this season that surprised you or maybe took an unexpected turn?
We wanted to do something to honor the 40th anniversary of the Goonies. It's a movie that is so near and dear to me and was so seminal for me growing up. And I was shocked to learn, as I'm sure a lot of people will be, that the Goonies is kind of based on a true story, in that there was an actual Spanish galleon that wrecked off the Oregon coast that inspired the screenwriters of the Goonies. And this is not some legend. This is not some myth. This is an archaeological fact. And so we are going to Oregon to investigate the remains of this Spanish shipwreck and to see if there's any treasure out there and to look for booty traps and all that great Goonies stuff. So it's going to be an awesome adventure.
Team, you guys want to go look for some treasure? I'm in.
Yes.
Okay. Fans love both Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files. Can you give us the elevator pitch? What is the biggest difference between the two shows and why people should be tuned in for both hours?
Sure. I mean, Expedition Unknown is our boots on the ground exploration adventure show. So we spend the whole hour, or in the season premiere, 2 hours, investigating far-flung mysteries around the world. That's where we're going to be crawling in tunnels, macheting through jungles, diving into the unknown. Expedition Files, we are able to tackle 3 stories per hour, and these are incredibly iconic mysteries. I serve as a kind of guide through those stories, taking our viewers into the past, meeting experts and authors and historians that have, revelations, breaking news about some of the most famous cases in history. So that's really kind of pulling open the adventure filing cabinet and looking into these really awesome stories. And Expedition Unknown invites you to literally get dirty and get out there in the world with us.
And for those of us who don't have a film crew, we got that. Check. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. You got one.
Or machete. Oh, I don't have the machete. What's one explorer habit or tip that anyone can use to bring like a little adventure into their everyday life, I guess?
My number one tip for people who want to have an adventure is to just do it. People say to me all the time, man, I wish I could have adventures like you. Hey, anybody can have an adventure. That's the thing about adventure. It's no frills, no huge infrastructure needed. No matter where you are in the country watching this, right nearby you within a few hours is a state park or a place to go hiking or camping to explore something you've never done before. So, the outdoors is just waiting for us. Adventure is everywhere. And so I encourage everybody to take out a map and to go someplace you've never been before, near or far, and have your own adventure.
Josh Gates says, if you want to be a Bilbo Baggins and go on an adventure, pull a Nike and just do it. See, like I put 2.
Just do it.
Yeah, there you go. Josh Gates, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you are into real-world mysteries, big swings, and a host who actually gets dirt under his nails, watch Josh Gates on Discovery. New episodes of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Wednesday nights. Check your local listings and stream full episodes at discovery.com. Thanks for hanging out with me, Josh.
Hey, all the best, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You might think you're eating healthy, but you could still be missing a very important nutrient your body needs every day. Experts say more than 80% of Americans aren't getting enough omega-3s. With Omega-3 Day coming up March 3rd, we're talking about why that matters. Joining us now is registered dietitian Kate Turner with Nordic Naturals. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
So, Kate, why are so many people falling short on omega-3s, even the healthy eaters?
It's a great question. And like you said, our current research shows us that more than 80% of Americans aren't getting enough omega-3s to their diet. We're simply just not eating enough omega-3 rich foods. For example, you would have to eat 3 ounces of salmon every single day or 76,000 chia seeds each day to get a common daily serving of 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, which are the omega-3s our bodies need. Yet we have to rely on our diets because our body doesn't efficiently make these 2 critical omega-3s we all need. And they're primarily found in cold water fatty fish and algae, foods that typically aren't an abundant part of the daily American diet.
And most people connect omega-3s with their heart health. What are some of the other benefits people may not even realize?
Yes, that's true. Omega-3s are often associated with heart health, which is accurate, but they're also one of the few nutrients that supports every single cell in the body. And essentially, whatever your body does or doesn't do well greatly depends on the health of your cells, making omega-3s critical in supporting brain and cognitive health, mood support, skin and joint health, immune function, and just overall everyday well-being. And what many people don't know is that omega-3s also help beneficial nutrients get into your cells and help push unwanted waste out of your cells more effectively. So if you are taking other supplements or just focused on eating a nutrient-rich diet, meeting your daily omega-3 needs really matters if you want to reap the full benefit of those healthy lifestyle efforts.
And what are some easy ways families can work more omega-3s into their daily routine?
By adding more omega-3 rich foods high in EPA and DHA, so this can include cold water fatty fish like salmon, anchovies, and sardines, or algae for any vegetarians, vegans, or non-fish eaters. But as studies have shown, it's very, very difficult to get enough omega-3s through food sources alone. And this is where adding a high quality omega-3 supplement to your daily routine, whether that's fish oil or algae oil, is a great way to ensure you're getting your omega-3s so you can get all of those whole body benefits. Nordic Naturals does offer omega-3s in liquid, capsule, and even gummy form to help support every life stage and also every preference.
And if somebody does decide to take supplements, what should they start to look for?
So I first want to address the common misconception that fish oil either tastes or smells fishy or even may give you fish burps. If you have experienced that, it simply means that the fish oil you took was exposed to oxygen, making it go rancid and creating that awful experience. Nordic Naturals takes extra care and extra time in our manufacturing process to avoid that. And that's where when buying a supplement, you want to buy from a trusted brand whose products are research-backed and third-party tested. Nordic Naturals also conveniently provides a certificate of analysis so you as the consumer can verify the strength, purity, and potency, as well as the freshness of every single product.
And where can our viewers go to learn more?
You can head to nordic.com where we have helpful education resources as well as convenient shopping options. And many of our products are also available in retail stores nationwide.
Kate Turner, it has been a pleasure. I want to thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have you ever wondered what it really takes to send technology to the moon and then make it work once it's there? There's a new documentary called Drive Me to the Moon. It takes viewers behind the scenes of a groundbreaking lunar mission and the collaboration that made it possible. So joining us today is Fabiana Neves, Vice President of Castrol Americas, to talk about the film and why this moment matters for the future of space exploration. Welcome to the show, Fabiana. How are you?
Thank you for having me. All good here today. Thank you.
All right, for our viewers just hearing about it, what is Drive Me to the Moon and what story does the documentary tell?
Drive Me to the Moon is a documentary where you will see everything behind the scenes on what it takes to be in the moon, from the concept to design, to collaboration, to bringing innovation, technology, and all steps towards making sure, hey, we are in the moon again.
And the movie follows the Lunar Voyage 1 mission from early testing to touchdown on the moon. What do you think will surprise people most when they watch it?
Well, the first one is making sure that the collaboration with the private sector and how new innovation has evolved and made it possible for the first time ever be in the lunar South Pole. So that's a pioneer opportunity never done before. And you can see firsthand, right, so on the documentary.
Mission control is also a big part of the story. What makes this operation so unique compared to past lunar missions?
Mission control is the brain behind the machines and truly what monitors, give control, as well as receive the data and insights of everything that is happening from the moment of the launch until the machine is in there, right? So is the brain, is the women behind everything that happens, right? So the ability to monitor, to receive the images, the data, the insights, and then turn this into actions that we can learn and evolve further is definitely the heart and the brain behind everything happening there.
And Castrol has been involved in space exploration for decades. How did that experience shape their role in this mission and making of this film?
For over 7 decades, we have been partnering with NASA since the Apollo mission, worked with the Mars missions, with the rovers, the Opportunity, the Curiosity, the Perseverance rovers, and our technology have evolved and enabled these missions to be successful. Now partnering with Lunar Outpost and the private sector to making sure that we do evolve, that we bring the technology and our lubricants enable those missions to be successful is critical, has been critical for Castrol. We are really, really proud of being partnering and working and evolving with the space industry.
With renewed excitement around lunar exploration right now, how does this mission help set the stage for what's coming next?
Yeah, great question. We are definitely keen to support the goal of finding a sustainable way of having human presence in the moon. This mission was a first step towards that goal. So we are keen to continue partnering and making sure that, hey, we can make this a reality and there is a sustainable way for having human presence in the moon.
So where can our viewers go check out Drive Me to the Moon and maybe get more information?
You can go to our website, castrol.com/drive-me-to-the-moon, and also you can find us on YouTube.
Fabiana Neves, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
So what happens after you leave the biggest band in music history? For Paul McCartney, the end of the Beatles wasn't the end of the story. It was the start of a whole new chapter. Man on the Run from Oscar-winning director Morgan Neville takes us inside Paul's post-Beatles years, the launch of Wings, and a deeply personal decade that shaped his solo legacy. Morgan joins us today to talk about the film Paul McCartney, Man on the Run, which is now available on Prime Video. Welcome to the show, Morgan. How are you?
I'm very good. Good talking to you.
All right. The Beatles breakup is one of the most talked about moments in music history. What did you discover about Paul during that immediate aftermath that might surprise some of the fans out there?
I mean, so much. I mean, if you watch Get Back, Peter Jackson's kind of 8-hour version of the Beatles at the end, making Let It Be, you see Paul is driving everything. Songs are pouring out of him. And the question is, what happens the day that disappears? And what happens is that Paul has a true heartbreak. I mean, he's the one that wanted the Beatles more than anybody. And, he essentially is told by John Lennon that John wants a divorce from the band. And Paul, within 2 weeks, runs off to Scotland with his new wife, Linda, and their new baby, Mary, and tries to figure out what he's going to do. Is he even going to make music anymore? And so these next few years, he really struggles. And that's the part of the story I don't think people really understand, and that whole life of him trying to figure out who he was if he wasn't a Beatle.
So what was that period for him, creatively and personally, and him trying to find himself?
It was in some ways, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I mean, I think, publicly, the public was angry that because they were heartbroken. So how dare you guys break up? Why can't you just be the Beatles? What are you doing? And Paul's wife, Linda, takes a lot of flack for, did she help break up the band? Same thing happened with John and Yoko. There's just a lot of kind of anger, and the critics are saying, your music isn't as good as what the Beatles were. It was kind of an impossible shadow to escape, but that's Paul's mission. He has no choice but to try and escape it. So he tries and tries different things for years to kind of see who am I and what is my voice now as just Paul McCartney. And part of that then comes into fruition when he starts the band Wings. So it's the model he knows. I'm going to be in a band with some other people, and there's a camaraderie to it that makes me feel like I'm not alone. And through that, he finally starts doing albums like Band on the Run and becomes kind of more the Paul of who we know today.
And we also get to see some rare archival footage and a little bit of intimate family photography from Lennon McCartney. How did those elements help you tell a more vulnerable side of Paul's story?
I mean, there's incredible footage we found. I mean, there's footage of Paul filming himself alone, writing songs at a piano, or with the kids, and the singing songs at Christmas time. There is a real intimacy to the footage. That's really the main thing I wanted to convey, that this is a story kind of from the inside out. It's a story where we really kind of understand what Paul was dealing with and how he was dealing with it. And you see an insecurity in Paul that I don't think you really see publicly.
So what do you think the story tells about resilience and reinvention?
I mean, I think it's a story, and Paul's story is how not to doubt your own creative instincts. I think, the world always wants you to doubt what you do and judge what you do. And I think Paul's strength at this time is, I'm going to do whatever the hell I feel like. And that's fine. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, fine. And he does some crazy things that work and things that don't work. He releases, Mary Had a Little Lamb as a 45, which, nobody particularly likes. But then he puts out Mull of Kintyre, which becomes the biggest selling single in England in history. So they're both kind of crazy ideas. But I think he was all about embracing the crazy idea at the time. So creatively, I think it's pretty inspirational.
And for some of the lifelong Beatle fans out there, or even some of the brand new fans that may just know Paul from today, what do you hope audiences may take away after watching Man on the Run?
I mean, I know, because everybody tells me this, when you're done watching the film, you're going to go listen to a lot of music because there's a lot of music to explore. But also just an understanding that Paul's a real person dealing with real issues that are actually pretty relatable.
Morgan, I want to thank you for joining me today. Paul McCartney, Man on the Run, is available now on Prime Video. It's an intimate look at a music icon, redefining himself in real time, and it's a must-watch for any music fan. Morgan Neville, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Great talking to you.
And that does it for today's episode of Rise and Unwind, aka your weekly excuse to procrastinate productively. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Truly, you could be anywhere, and yet you chose this delightful show. We appreciate that. Make sure you follow our socials at Rise Unwind, and check out the website to stay updated at riseunwindtv.com. Stay fabulous, stay curious, and stay slightly over-caffeinated, and we'll see you next week on Rise and Unwind.